Yeah. I'll react if I had to. Put some things in the past too, and don't let them distract you, but react if you have to. Yeah. I'll react if I had to. Put some things in the past too, and don't let them distract you, but react if you have to. Yeah. React if you have to. Yeah.
Don't know the time, yeah. Just know that I'm, one of a kind, yeah. What's on your mind, yeah. What hard to find, yeah. Beautiful mind, yeah. Still in my prime, yeah. Just know that I'm here.
What's up, guys? Pound Offs Anonymous, episode 26, 8 o'clock p.m., Sunday, June 21st.
Yeah.
Happy Father's Day, Jeff.
Well, thanks, man. I'm not a father yet, so I don't count it yet. But happy Father's Day to you, because this is your first Father's Day as a legal. How's that work? How's it work?
Yeah, that's
You've
what,
been definitely playing that role really hardcore
right
in Charlie's life for a couple of years now.
Yeah, it's the first one since we've adopted him. So yeah, it's the first official Father's Day of being a father, and it's been it's pretty cool stuff. I can get a little bit more into that later. Don't try to hijack things, because I want to put you on the spot in a little bit.
All right.
Well, more importantly, I want to put your father on the spot, whether he knows it or not.
Yeah.
But so how was your day? What did you guys do today? Did you guys have a good weekend?
We did, man. We today, I had church this morning, and then Brittany was home all morning cooking an amazing Italian dinner.
That's awesome.
And we had my mom and dad over. We had Brittany's dad over, and her and his girlfriend, and just had a good Father's Day celebration. It was awesome.
That's crazy that you guys did Italian.
Yeah.
Good. We did, a weekend of it. I guess we had some people over, a couple over last night, and so Saturday morning, we did our Christmas Eve fucking feast, where I went down to the hill and picked up some things from the deli and the bakeries and overdid it.
Yeah, we
got
did too.
home. Yeah, so I got home, and because we were originally going to do this yesterday at 2 o'clock, it was like I've said this before. When I think way back in the beginning when we started this on like a Christmas episode on how my Christmas Eve looked, and I was like fucking Henry Hill again, because I schedule so much shit, and cooking the meatballs that we cook is an all day fucking thing. I mean, it takes an hour to mix them and roll them when you're doing as many as we did.
Yeah.
So Ashley helped with that, and then I was going to do the 2 o'clock with you. Get the sauce going at like literally when we stopped, which had been right about 3:15, and the people were coming over at 3:30. Our friends.
Oh, wow.
And at 3:30. So, we had a ton of fucking antipasta, peppers, olives, prosciutto, capicola, which is what they refer to on The Sopranos as gabagool.
Gabagool.
Yeah. So I mean,
have the gabagool.
I got this shit coming out my ass, and stirring meatballs all night. I had some ricotta stuffed manicotti, and it was just a huge feast. I mean, I put on 100 pounds this fucking weekend. I still got cannolis upstairs, a couple Napoleons. We did some damage on the chocolate drops. There's just pastry boxes all everywhere up. I mean, it looked like a fucking donut shop here. I mean, this is ridiculous. So today,
that's what we did our homemade meatballs this weekend too, which are probably not near as good as yours, but they were
awesome.
good. But we could only do hamburger because we couldn't find any Italian sausage.
Yeah, see, I usually just use ground beef, like 80%.
Yeah.
And then if I want sweet sausages, which I love sweet sausages, I'll get the links and I will brown them and throw them in the sauce too. But the thing is we cook them the meatballs raw in the sauce, and it takes 2.5 hours to get them good. I may have oversalted them this time around, but just drink some fucking water, right?
That's right.
Put the glass of wine down for 1 second,
Yes.
Ashley, and take a sip of water, and you'll be fine. But we had a blast. So today, man, I woke up with like the biggest fucking food hangover. That's a thing. I literally, when I eat like that, this is unbecoming. When I fucking pig out, I slept on the couch last night because I bet my neighbors heard me sawing fucking logs, snoring. When I eat like that, it's bad. I used to wear a mask back in the day, but the old CPAP friend, but I do good unless I go crazy. If I overeat, so I don't drink anymore. It was the same thing when I used to put one on bad, it would just elevate. You probably can. I think you've mentioned something before that you might do a little snoring from here and there. So you get it, and it fucks up your day.
I still got the CPAP. I got the CPAP, and it's a game changer for me.
Ashley, on nights like that, Ashley wishes I still have it. I might have mentioned what happened to my old CPAP machine.
That's right.
It was broken over my head by at the time an ex. And we weren't exes at the time, but we shortly were after that when I felt. But the good news is, Jeff, I'm looking at your screen, and you might have froze up for a second, but I'll keep going, and you can pop in. When I eat like that, man, it's bad news.
So for those of you listening at home, you there? You there?
Yep. Yeah, you're still with us.
Okay, cool. I was like, for those of you listening at home, our connection is not working out right now.
That's all right. Well, I was just saying that when I had that CPAP machine broken over my head, and so to get to last night, I wake up, my throat hurts, my lips are really dry, but I know I did good. And then this morning we watched church, and actually my sister came over, Brooke, and my mother, and we had a breakfast, and then it's kind of been a chill day. I've had a lot going on at work, so it was a nice. I really earmarked this day to just take it easy. I can't golf right now because of my ankle, and that was usually the Father's Day go-to. But that was I usually play golf with some friends since my old man's gone. But all in all, a really good, relaxing day. I was, a beached fucking whale, whether it was on my couch or my blue chair. I was going to watch the NASCAR race from Talladega, and it was rained out, so they're going to run that tomorrow. Glad I wasn't down there. It's so much fun to go, but when it rains, it really ruins the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was it in a nutshell. It sounds like we. Pretty good weekend.
Yeah.
Jeff, I want to, if you don't, share as much as you want, but I've spoken about my old man 100 million fucking times on this podcast. It's probably the reason we're doing it at the end of the day, because his, his, whole deal and how close we were when he died. I struggled and that, it's funny that what Matt at church talked about today about, incremental change versus transformative change. Like incremental change make you trying to make things a little better.
Yeah.
Transformative change is like really changing your whole fucking, ball of wax, man. And so when he died, I had to go through, I've told the story 1,000 times eventually I got to a place where I think I did make at least my first transformative change in my life, because I think it happens a couple times. It should probably. So it was a good revisit today. But not to lose anyone. But what we haven't talked about ever really is you growing up, and if you're comfortable with your old man, and especially with what you got coming on. Going down on Christmas Day is the due date of being an impending father. So, if you can say a couple things about your dad growing up.
Yeah, man, my dad and my parents are still married, which is a blessing, in this day and age. I'm 35, and they're both in their 60s, so for them to be still married is, pretty cool.
Sure.
And my dad, I'm the only child, the only son, so I think he was hoping that Allen name would continue on. Not that there aren't a million people with that last name in the world. But, our line runs out with me unless I continue.
That's a real thing, man. I got that pressure from a great uncle that just passed away. I love him. He called me one time on the phone and was like, "You dating anybody yet?" I'm like, "Well, I just got out of rehab, Uncle Nick. Can a guy fucking just sit down for a second?" He's like, "You need to get out there. You got to carry on that Pondoff name." I mean, that's a big deal. I feel you.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. I think they were really losing hope that we'd ever have kids, but we just were having too good of a time. What can I say? You guys
are smart. You guys did it the right way. Don't get me started.
Yeah. So, yeah, and just Friday we celebrated 10 years of marriage. So 10 years of marriage. Old
big
ladies
weekend.
Got a bun in the oven. We're, that's good. That's a good timing, I think.
Lot to be grateful for.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, my dad, man, he's the strong, silent type. You know what I mean? He's a man of few words, but he's the guy who will drop.
We got
whatever
you frozen.
he's doing.
Just a second. We're gonna let you come back as soon as you get back.
All right. Do you hear me now?
We lost you at Asa. I got some questions.
Yeah.
Man of few words, strong, silent type.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
There you are. You back?
Okay. All right. It's funny because both, we're recording on both ends here, so it'll sound normal to everybody else.
Hey, you back?
Yeah. Yeah. You got me?
I hear your voice.
Okay. I don't know what the deal is. Anyway.
It's okay. Let's power through. So you were saying your dad's a strong and silent type, a man of few words.
That's right. He's a man of few words, but he's the guy who will drop, whatever he's doing to do it for you, to come help you do something. I mean, the guy has driven hours with a trailer to come pick my ass up off the side of the road with a car,
Yeah.
Several times. But yeah, he's cool, dude. He's a good old fashioned blue collar, hardworking guy. And,
yeah. That's great, man. He's from so you grew up in a small town outside of Springfield, Illinois, right?
Well, my wife did. I grew up like right in the middle of Springfield and St. Louis in a small town. So like in the middle of nowhere.
That's right. I don't know why I always you're not even quite right about halfway almost.
Yeah. And he grew up right around there too.
Yeah, was your family? Did you guys relocate to Carrollton's the name of the town, or?
Yeah, we relocated, but only from about 10 miles away.
Oh, okay.
So we've always grown up in that area. My mom was from Alton, Illinois, and my dad was from near Jerseyville, right in the middle of Jerseyville in Carrollton.
Okay, so those are where your roots are.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Small farm town, the old square that all the kids hang out at and drink at, and
sure,
that kind of deal.
Those are the best types of those were the best types of high school parties in those small towns.
Oh yeah, small town pasture parties, man.
Yes,
you go out in the pasture or in the cornfield. There's always a spot for the tractors to turn around in a cornfield, but there's it's a really good place for a party.
Right, and you don't have to worry about destroying somebody's fucking house.
That's right, and the cops don't come out there.
Yeah, so and if they do, they're like, "Hey, I know every one of your parents, so I'll give you a ride home and tell them, and they can deal with you. I'm not going to take you to jail."
Exactly. Yeah.
Jails are too small out there. They can't handle 50 drunk teenagers. So good, man. Yeah. You guys had I saw a pic. The reason I'm asking is I saw a pretty cool picture when you were a kid that you posted.
Oh yeah.
This weekend honoring your old man, and I was like, I wonder if he knows I'm gonna. But yeah, I have never met your parents, so I look forward to doing that one day.
They're good people. Good people.
I can tell. They because you got a big fucking heart, and that's why I love you, and why I'm so excited about just doing this podcast with you since we've been doing it, and it's been a fun hobby, and it's cool, man. I sometimes hog the microphone, so I wanted you to have a chance, obviously, to talk about your dad. And he and I we're not as close as you and your pops were. We're
definitely the father-son relationship. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Not the friend,
Right.
kind of deal that you had going, which I kind of regret that a little bit. You know what I mean? But
well, as you're saying, that's funny because I kind of, here I had that, and I wish that it was a little bit more like yours, and you're hearing that, and say, yeah, we all kind of.
there's probably a good middle ground there that we
Sure.
both could have had.
Yeah, and it's yeah, I totally know what you're saying, and I think we envy sometimes what we don't know, what
That's
we
right,
didn't
yeah.
have.
The grass is always greener, kind of deal.
Exactly. Well, good, man. I do you think about all your experiences as a kid with your old man as and it hit me when you posted that picture because of what you guys got going on in your life and
Yeah.
how your world's getting ready to change by the end of the year, it sounds like. With the due date you said last week. So that's, I mean, I want obviously here I'm answering a question and fucking answering it. I all the time am like, what, my old man did this, my old man did that, and that sometimes gets me in trouble. But are you thinking about a lot of that stuff?
Yeah, like you mean like what kind of stuff I did with my dad growing up and things like that?
Well, yeah, just how and I maybe sometimes it'll be on the fly as when the baby's born and starts getting older, but
Yeah.
going through decision making on usually boundaries and consequences and shit like that. And
Yeah, I'm sure I will. My dad he's so funny, man. When I was growing up, I didn't get in trouble a lot by him, but I can remember the times I did. Like
Okay.
I remember one time I put a golf ball through the neighbor's double pane glass window.
Ooh,
and
yeah.
got in trouble. And then one time in high school, I got busted for shoplifting.
Look at you, fucking
And then,
rebel.
And then I think I was just out of high school, but still living at home. And my dad was a safety freak when it came to cars, like when it came to driving.
Yeah.
And he went down to get into my car for some reason, and in the cup holder was an empty beer can.
Okay.
Oh man. And he came up the stairs and I was still asleep. And all I know is waking up to a beer can hitting me in the face.
Yeah.
He threw it at me and he's like, and I'm like, oh man, it's my buddy's. It's not mine. And he actually bought it, or at least he acted like he did. But you know. And the only time I really ever got in trouble was that kind of stuff. But then if I disrespected my mom, that was the big one.
Sure.
Look out.
Okay. And it was the three of you growing up?
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, it just focusing on the day, it makes you think, and
Yeah.
like I was asking, because with being a parent, man, it nobody's done it 100% right. So I'm often reminded by Ashley, who never met my father, but is pretty much married him, because I'm about the exact same as he is. But and my mom a lot is, you always saying take the good and don't, because there was some questionable parenting tactics. But all the time I look back at how I did things, or how things were done growing up, and it ends up being a real mental fucking tug of war. And like, there's times where I'm conflicted. My dad, because I'm so fucking loyal to my old man, that he did it this way, I need to do it this way. Well,
Right.
His way wasn't always right, and
Yeah.
so there's a lot of humbling in that regard. But there's more. It's our experience, and there's more good and effective techniques, I think, than there are bad. I mean, we have the same temper where we're Italian. We bark a lot, right? So,
Yeah.
if I sometimes I'm barking, but after 5 minutes I'm cooled down and all is good. And Charlie's turning out to be quite the smartass. It's pretty funny sometimes, but
Yeah.
when Ashley has to get stern, then he gets it, because rarely, I've lost my luster, my effectiveness in parenting sometimes because I'm always kind of bitch, hey, what's this? What's that? This and that. So when she gets stern, he gets it. But it's a roller coaster, parenting, to say the least. And with with the process of how I did it, and it wasn't necessarily by choice. Well, I mean, it was by choice, but what I mean by it wasn't necessarily, I guess, the most traditional way. So it's kind of crazy how it happened. When Ashley and I first started dating, she was finishing up her licensing to become a foster parent. Like, she had answered a call and was single, getting out of a bad relationship after I think she was probably 6 months to a year out of it, and was always wanted to do it her, like, the way she thought it should, meet a guy. She always desperately wanted a family. And when things weren't working out, she was like, you know what, I have this home, I have these resources, I should open them up. And she's always felt a call to help to be there for a kid, and while they desperately need it. So she was finished up her licensing, and on our first date, she told me, oh, by the way, I'm going to be a foster parent. She said it was like telling me she was pregnant. It's like, oh, by the way, I'm going to have my kid in a couple months. Really? I mean, that's what happened, And it only made me fall harder for her, because I had known before that date what I was getting into, and I have always had a love for kiddos. So I was like, sign me up, and here we go. As soon as she got her license, and before she was going to get a placement, we started talking months later about cohabitating and living together, which is the next step, right? And I either needed to not live with her, or I needed to get my license to become a foster parent. So, okay, so I took the classes. There's lots of training, and I wouldn't, trade it for the world. But I say all this because Ashley was the noble angel out of us, right? I just kind of following her footsteps and rode her coattails. And then in April 2017, we got the call. We started dating in the fall before that, so it took like 6 months. And we got the call, and Charlie was our first placement, and he was 3.5 when he came to live with us. And you go through this process and these training to always be prepared and really eager to be a member of the team to reunite the child with their birth mother or father or both, and depending on the case. And you get attached to these kids immediately, right? And they deserve that. People often say, when I go into if I go into foster parenting, I'm going to get my heart broken because I'm going to get attached, and say, yeah, that's fucking, that's it. That's what you do, and you do it because these kids, for the short time they're in your care, or a long time in your care, are entitled to love and a safe place to stay, food in their bellies, and a shoulder to cry on, and all the things. And you really got to, and you go in it, sign up, knowing that you're going to have to say goodbye to this kid. And sometime, and I've heard in other, in foster parenting support groups that we're a part of, training, that most of the time, in your mind as a human being, it doesn't come from a arrogant or I'm better than. It's a human being thing to feel this way. So most of the time you think that, and it could be factual, very factual, but most of the time you think that you're handing the kid off to a worse environment. But what people don't realize is how important it is for the child to be back with their birth parent, who, for whatever reason, whatever happened, that their kid entered the system. There's a whole variety of reasons, and before ever embarking on this journey, I don't judge the judgers, because it's easy to do that before you really roll your sleeves up and get in knees deep in this shit, because there's things that happen and you become more compassionate to, certainly a lot of the reason people lose their children, most of them is because of why we're fucking on this podcast, because of addiction issues and mental health stuff. I would say, I don't know the percentage, but it's got to be over 75. It has to be. There's some real horror stories out there that you like see on the Law and Order SVUs and shit like that are hard to even talk about, but they're out there way too much, and there's way too many kids out there that, I mean, the details would make people sick. I can't, just on the physical abuse and stuff that are out there, and you got to say that it's mental health, but it's the only way to not let your life get overridden with anger, because but the reason I'm bringing this up is the process of having Charlie and working on a team to reunite him. That's what you have to do for a long time, to be supportive and engaging, and we always were in connecting him with or connecting the foster kid with their bio parent. The hardest part of it all is you have zero control in this. People come in your house, they call you, bring the kid here, bring the kid there, who haven't talked to him in weeks, tell you what to do with the child, and we have to just serve him up on a platter, no matter if he's sick, no matter what, and it's brutal. It is. I wanted to do a whole show on this one time, but I just wanted to touch on it because it's part of the fatherhood experience that I've had.
Yeah.
That is the hardest part. We were blessed in our case that we had awesome, amazing caseworkers. We've heard that that's not always the case in other cases. We had a really good team, and we're grateful every day for that, because it's benefited Charlie. Not for us, but it benefited Charlie. And at the end of the road, the court made the decision that it was in Charlie's best interest to have a sense of permanency and move forward, which is really important for kids. Without dedicating this whole show to the foster parenting system, and if anybody has any questions, please email me. I can get in touch, or a call to try to maybe do this, because I will shit you not, there are tons of kids out there that need a place to stay tonight. And right here in St. Louis, or if you're listening in Illinois, where I have a lot of friends, or wherever the fuck you're listening from, they're out there. And if you want to make a tangible difference, it's a huge sacrifice, because you literally serve your heart up on a silver platter, waiting and it gets crushed, and it's a tough deal. So, but it's probably the most important work that you can do. I remember telling, my pastor checked in on us when we first got a month or two into this, and he asked how it was going, and I said, listen, it's brutally fucking difficult. And his reply to me was, oftentimes our most important work on this earth is the brutally fucking difficult work. And I thought that was super wise. And it is. But going on about this, the process of this whole deal, it's cost probably taken years off of my life, and I'm already, in my fucking opinion, on borrowed time. I was saying even the Saturday night at dinner that, you know, I've used up 8 of my 9 lives, and on my 9th I got 1 foot in the grave and another on the banana peel because, you know, this was when I was stuffing my fucking mouth with gabagool and fucking prosciutto and meatballs and manicotti and everything you can name. I could hear my heart just like saying stop, but you know, I can have a better than a bunch of whiskey and, you know, a fucking Coke and shit.
Yeah.
Whatever. But the way I live my life, I guess in my late teens and 20s, I often say I'm on borrowed time, and I wouldn't trade it for the world because it's our story, and fathering Charlie, as any probably father that was worth a fuck will say, is the greatest honor of my life, and I say that even especially because of the tantrums and the smart ass mouth and the, you know, everything and some other shit he can do. But God bless him, I love him to death, and it's been an amazing experience. But may have lost Jeff here. This is Father's Day episode 26. A couple glitches. Hope you guys are still listening, and I could talk about one other thing before we shut it down on a quick little Father's Day episode. I am very, there he is. I'm very, very mindful. Hey, Jeff.
Hey.
You're still with us?
Yeah.
I'm very mindful that there are a ton of people out there right now, and the same thing that we said about Mother's Day, where it's a brutal reminder of what went wrong, of a loss of a father that's no longer with us, of issues with fathers, of bags of shit fathers. It can bring up a lot of heaviness, and it does for me from time to the first one was hard, but I barely remember the first Father's Day after my dad died. It was a couple months after. I went sat at Fridays all day, and I did my job. I made it to where I couldn't remember it.
Yeah.
I probably did that the next Father's Day as well. And then the first sober Father's Day was actually pretty fucking, I don't want to say it was glorious, but it was one that I really could smile. So I know I had made my old man proud by sobering up, by getting my shit together, turning my life around. Thanks, Jesus. And I did know that he was, even though he was my bash brother, my booze brother, that he was happy I was able to pull myself up a little bit and start becoming a man and helping take care and be relied on in my family and doing good at work. And because those first 2 years were hard, I there was a lot going on. There was a lot of times I couldn't go into our office, so I'd work remotely at my house, or I cover a territory. If I was working from home, I'd just be drowning in a whiskey bottle, and nobody would ever know because I was able to keep it together until I didn't have any more customer contacts, and then I would the floodgate would open. But knowing that he's proud, that first sober Father's Day was one I'll never forget. And they've been people say it gets easier with time, and not all grief stories work like that. But in my particular story, and there's still, I miss them every second of every day, but I can handle it, and I can smile, and I can, if I need to fucking cry a little bit, I will. But I've been able to do it, and people that are listening that think it's impossible. That's the whole point of this podcast, is that to show you that it's not. I remember, speaking old NASCAR from the beginning, watching Dale Earnhardt died. Everybody knows Dale Earnhardt. Even people that don't like NASCAR. 2001. Well, like fast forward to July, his kid won the next race back at that track. And I used to think about that when I was a full-blown alcoholic. Like, will I ever be able to? I mean, I was so crushed, like I couldn't have done anything for 2 years. But will I ever be able to do something like that to make him happy? And I can't talk about it too much, but at my job at our where we work, not Jeff, but this, believe it or not, isn't our jobs. In fact, this costs money,
right,
to put on the air. So we're doing this to try to help people, not to give ourselves Marilyn Manson cut out a rib blowjobs. But at my real job, some things have been happening over the last couple months, but are happening soon that I'm gonna. I think I'm having my Dale Earnhardt. Maybe even on Wednesday of last week, I had my Dale Earnhardt Jr. moment. That I know that my father was there and is proud, and and I'll be able to talk more about that in a couple weeks. But it's just spiritual as fuck for me, man.
Yeah.
And I couldn't be more excited. Just got to avoid that cancel culture. But no, things are going good in that way, and it's really I get goosebumps thinking about it, and I was to come from where I was, D-Day +1, if you want to call it that, when he died. It really was an impossible course of action where my life was headed. And to piggyback off what Matt said today in the sermon, it was a transformative change that needed to happen, and it was fucking Jesus, man. Yeah. And it's possible for all you that are listening. So yeah, it's late. It's a Sunday night. It's late for us, and
yeah, this podcast has to go live in a couple hours,
right?
A few hours,
right.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to take the week off. We want to put something out there and celebrate everyone that's having a happy Father's Day. Or,
yeah,
like I said, I know it's hard for some people, and we'll close with that in a second. But what were you going to say, Jeff?
I was going to say one other quick story about my dad.
Please.
You had talked about a few weeks ago. You had talked about going to the old barn for the hockey games.
Yeah.
And, one time, I think the only time I was ever in that place, my dad took me to WWF wrestling.
Okay.
And that was amazing. But the thing I remember more than anything from that trip is that he first took me to the old Union Station Hooters.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And he said, you've said this too. He said, "Don't tell your mother that we
right.
went here."
Uh-huh.
That's the first thing I did.
Yep. Well, I don't know what happened. We're like so excited. We have to tell our moms,
like,
and we get in
I
trouble. That's funny,
like,
man. That's awesome.
Where am I?
That is great.
So yeah,
I'm glad you shared that story, because I've had some memories in that building, but both buildings.
Yep.
that Hooters. Well, I remember it on like the second and third floor at Union Station.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. And you start realizing, that your life is fucking over as soon as you start chasing those things around.
Oh,
right?
God. Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, Jeff,
And I'm
I'm
gone
glad
again,
you shared
Chris.
that. And I look forward to meeting your mom and dad sometime. And did my best to Brittany as she's out chasing the cat outside. As I think you said that your cat got out before the show started. So good luck. I hope he's all right. But yeah, guys, thanks a lot for listening. And sorry this episode's been a little choppy. Like I said, we're not bringing in the big bucks for this fucking thing. It's just a hobby that we're paying for right now, and cut us a little bit of slack. And if I didn't have all the energy that I normally do, it's because I'm still digesting about 18 fucking pounds of meatballs. So give me a fucking break, will you? And I'm ready for bed. But I do want to close with to reiterate that we are super mindful of how hard days like this can be for people. In fact, Ashley and I first bonded over over the fact that she had lost her father when she was 21, and so we had connected on that was like the first thing that we connected on even before I asked her out. And it's a hard day for a lot of people. I know it's a hard day for people that have had a great father that's no longer around. And it's a hard people for that grew up with fucking non-existent shitty fucking dads. I have one of my best friends in particular, I think struggles on Father's Day, and I love him to death, and I hate that it's a reminder, and that it hurts his fucking heart. But I hope he does know that I pray daily for him, literally, especially on days like this. And there's nothing that I can do to help, but maybe God can send him some fucking love, and we'll see. I know for dads out there that may have lost a child, this day can be real hard, and I know that I think a lot of people that go unseen are the fucking badass single moms.
Yeah.
I know plenty of them because for some reason that was my target demographic in my late 20s. God, I love single moms.
Well, I got a buddy who said I'm gonna make an awesome second husband someday.
Uh-huh. It's something about, I think it's and this is so stereotypical, but a single mom is done with the fucking bullshit and done with the fucking games. Like they did, they whether it was the father or not, they've gotten to a point where they've now have a child. They're not together with the dad, and now they're raising a child. So it's not time. They don't have real time for bullshit. And so that, anyway, not to get too far down a rabbit hole here, but I'm serious. You know it. I know it. There's a ton of single moms out there that are doing double duty. And,
that's right.
And they're seen, and we're trying to keep this classy, and that's so hard for me. I'm not in the game anymore. I'm snatched up. See the ring?
Yeah.
But yeah, man. I mean it. We're thinking about everybody that's having a tough time today. I know the feeling, and things can and will get better if you lean in. Give us a shout. I maybe have some tips if I haven't touched on it, but I'm telling you guys, this Jesus shit can work. You just got to work it and save my fucking life. Say it all day, every day. Jeff, thanks for sharing some stories about your old man.
Yeah, man.
Tell him hello, and have a great evening. And we'll talk next week. Thanks, everyone.
Sounds good.
Let us pray.
If you're struggling or know someone that is, please have them check out our podcast and reach out to Chris or me. We want to listen, and we're super eager to help. Pondoffs Anonymous is Chris Pondoff and produced by me, Jeff Allen. Our music is Anti-Hero by McCall and Gentle Waters by Wild Wonder. For more information, visit pondoffsanonymous.com. Find us on Facebook and Instagram.